I didn't have an identity. Like I didn't
Mhm.
know my identity, right?
Mhm.
So I took that as like a sense of myself. I didn't have a sense of myself at all
Mhm.
until 2016 was when I realized I don't even know who I am. I don't know
Mm.
hardly anything about me. I knew more
Mhm.
about, other people in my life than I knew about myself. The
Mhm.
likes, all that, it just blew my
Mhm.
mind. So I've been on that journey since 2016 about learning about me and what I like and don't like,
Mhm.
and all
Good.
the nuances of me.
Mhm.
Um, but tell us more about finding our sense of ourself. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. So trauma hijacks who we are. Depending on, I'm talking about complex trauma here,
Yeah.
not necessarily a single event trauma. It can hijack who you are as well. And I've worked with so many people, so many stories that I've heard, my own story as well. Like, obviously you talked about yours, and I carry my own trauma. I'm doing my own healing. But trauma hijacks who we are. And, I'm going to talk about it on two levels here. So
Okay.
when we talk about sort of, like I think about people coming to see me, and I think about it in terms of complexity. And every trauma is complex, and it
Yeah.
is very subjective. The way trauma works is like a disease, right? And I can't say this is more complex than this because it's very, very subjective. But I will talk about, one theme of it in the way in which it hijacks our sense of self is we don't know who we are at all because we've fused who we are with our coping mechanisms, because
Yes.
like our nervous system is sort of kind of thrusted into these circumstances that forces it into survival mode. And when we talk about survival modes, we talking like, this sort of kind of like fight, flight, freeze response, however you want to talk about it, hyperarousal, hyperarousal. And, for a baby to from an infant to being a baby to being a toddler, you literally just keep surviving, like if the trauma, like, started that early. And for
Mm-hmm.
most people it does, when we talk
Mm-hmm.
about sort of attachment, we need attachment to survive, right? And if we can't get, if we can't feel safe within that relationship, within the bond that we have with our caregivers, of course our nervous system will have to compensate for it. And we sort of like, start to grapple with very enormous feelings of shame, right?
Mm-hmm.
From young, from about 9 months old, research tells us that we can feel shame from around about that age.
From how old?
9 months.
I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I have
So
grandchildren and I watch them.
yeah, absolutely. Like I have a son who's 2 years old, and I have observed this. Like, I started to understand attachment even more so
Yeah.
from reasoning. Like, there is power in attachment, like, physical healing power, spiritual healing power, emotional, like it's so, attachment is so powerful. Like, and I
Mm-hmm.
think men have written about it so long that I don't even think they understand it, because of
Yeah.
course, like when we talk about attachment, like, I'm not saying like fathers don't play a role, but the mom plays more of a role in dealing with an infant. And yeah, like some things that I've seen, I haven't read in textbook, when I've sort of observed, you know, um the relationship with my son, the attachment, I'm like, whoa, like the textbook never covered it like this. So yeah, so the attachment, it starts from there, and we need that attachment to survive. And when it's unsafe, we will survive. Like, trauma does not, like extreme, difficult circumstances don't kill you, but there's a price that you pay for survival, and we don't
Right.
talk about it. There is a cost for survival, and we sing heroics like, oh my God, look what happened to you. Welcome home from war and all of that. Oh, you went through all of that, and wow, what doesn't kill you make you strong. And we never really talk about,
Yeah.
we don't talk about the story, the cost of it. There is a
Exactly.
cost to surviving. We love the heroics. We love like grace to grass story, or grace to grass. Yeah, grass to grace story. Like, look where I came from. Look at the triumph. And we
Yep.
don't really talk about the intricacies of it. And that
So
matters. And I
true.
think that really is trauma. There is a cost. The
Mm-hmm.
cost to survival is not having a sense of self for most people, like, and trying to survive. And of course, we get messed up with the coping mechanisms that are maladaptive, but that helped us cope as kids. And then we go into adulthood with them, and they
Yep.
don't work, and we don't know how to self-soothe, right?
Yep.
And we don't know how to self-soothe, and we use things to self-soothe. We use other people to self-soothe. And that brings me to my other point when I'm talking about, like talking about finding sense of self. We can be so successful, because we can grow intellectually. We can really like, know how to get things because we've learned to sort of be self-sufficient, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so this is why people don't even like, they argue against like whether trauma exists or whether trauma doesn't exist, because So many people are walking around with trauma, and they can be so highly successful. They are holding sort of high key position, but they didn't grow emotionally.
Right.
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 And
There's a
those are the other
difference.
sort of, yeah,
Exactly.
there's a
Mhm.
difference. Those are the other set of people who, you know, they have survived the trauma. They have sort of, they've even created the life that they dreamed of, that they fantasized. But there is a disconnection. And that
Yes.
disconnection, when I see in client is really like, nothing much happened in my childhood. I don't know, like I've done really well. And, you know, but something is missing.
Mhm.
And for a long time, people don't know why. When these people start to know, when relationships starts to break down,
Yes.
when there is, when they've achieved everything, and it's just sort of kind of like, the roller coaster of like, achievement, and there is no connection, and there are suicidal thoughts, and they're sort of kind of dipping in and out of depression, or there's addiction involved, and they don't get it, and they don't get that like actually like nothing much happened in your childhood is saying a lot, because there's been neglect, there's been so much. It's not about Trauma is not about what happened. It's also about what didn't happen. It's not just about what
Oh,
happened. It's also
yeah.
what did not happen to you.
Yeah.
Who did not hear you? Who did not listen to
Yeah.
you?